People, good morning, Deluded. I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in each and every time. I hope you're all doing well and safe this Wednesday morning. Hope you're all in good health. Hope your family's all in good health. Ultimately, I hope you're all in good spirits. And, with this virus that I can only speak for my country, well, everywhere over the world, but I can only speak for England. It's locking people more or less in their house and they're confined to work. I hope you're using this time to, analyse your professional and personal life where you can improve, potentially learning new skills. Like, you can't see it. The Open University got some free courses. I'm trying to learn Spanish, people, on top of my editing thing. Trying to do this Wenger thing where you can speak all them languages and that one day. But moving on, we might as well speak about some headlines in relation to Arsenal. First and foremost, in serious news, it's all fun and games talking about young players, transfers and all these other talking points, but with obviously the coronavirus which is in air, it's nice to see clubs doing their parts to help communities or donate in any way. I've seen United and Cities join forces, I've seen Arsenal, seen Spurs, I believe Liverpool, and there's many other teams regardless of the league positions. I believe everybody's trying to do something, whether that's paying, full-time, part-time and casual staff wages, whether that's donating to charities, whether that's helping the elderly, whether that's trying to provide us something. You're seeing a lot of clubs and footballers do the same thing as well. If not necessarily money, they're donating something or they're just doing something, people. So moving on, we've seen an article come out of Arsenal in more serious news. Apparently, the Arsenal Foundation will donate 100,000 to local charities and organisations that are supporting those most in need during this COVID-19 crisis. We are in constant dialogue with Islington Council and our partners in the NHS to ensure this response is aligned with their priorities and supports those most vulnerable. A further 15,000 has already been donated to local community initiatives by the Arsenal Foundation in partnership with Islington Giving. We will also be redirected to Islington's Giving Crisis Fund as part of this COVID community response. From Tuesday the 24th of March, which was yesterday, people, we will make all Arsenal in the community cars available to transport frontline NHS mental health workers, driven on a voluntary basis by Arsenal and the community staff. This service will support NHS workers in delivering vital medication and emergency supplies. So you can imagine those that, whether it's due to a disability or elderly age or injury, people need to be able to get to the chemist or wherever they need to get whatever tablets or anything to keep them a go. Obviously, for someone who's got my youth on my side, is only 24 and hasn't got any health problems, unless I get struck down with something, it's relatively easy for me. On top of, the need to stay inside and physically being struggling, it's nice to see that this is happening, people, because at the end of the day, this is what the community is about. And I think things like this always puts life into perspective, because unless you're like royalty, like literally the royal family, you're not living in this bubble. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or a poor person. You go to the supermarket, you're struggling to buy basic stuff on top of what you need. You're living in fear and terror. So your class, your status, it means nothing. And I think with stuff like this, you're seeing a lot of beautiful things come out of society: camaraderie, helping fellow man, people being selfless. Like, I forgot his name, RIP. There was I believe an NHS doctor who retired and stuff, and he knew he was at risk of getting the disease, but he still went out and helped people. It's things like this, and I really hope after this the NHS is invested in properly. I really hope we've got, because England, we can be a bit snooty as a class, look down on people and things. I hope that sort of, I'm not going to be naive, it's not going to stop, but I hope people stop and think a bit more and have a bit more, love for people. And especially in the day and age where, far rights is rising, borders is closing, all these things was happening prior to this year. The NHS people who said a lot of people who would be classed as low skilled, both in the NHS and in other, sectors, they're the ones keeping this economy afloat. They're the ones on the front line in many different things. So I think people need to think twice about this. Many of them are not even English nationals. So people need to think twice, because I guarantee there was people that was voting up Brexit. You can vote Brexit for legit reasons, but there was people voting for Brexit because of ignorance and hate because they felt that people that weren't from England were getting stuff. I hope people think twice, because I guarantee them some people who held them ignorant views, their lives are literally being saved by the people they hate. So it's lovely to see this, man, because this is what the community is about. And I do think football never forgets about its community, but at the same time it does, because where the fans and people who watch the game, ultimately without us, there's no demand for the game. But with ticket prices, with, you know, ever-changing fixtures and TV schedules, and just crippling the fan and capitalising on their love for the game, it's nice to see people giving back. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you support Arsenal or any football team. This is, you know, this is what we need to do. And not just Arsenal's doing this, other people are doing things like this. It also went on to say Arsenal will be delivering some resources for primary school children and other people who have to stay at home. It said tablets. It said tablets, and it also helped with the delivery of, you know, child mental health things that are still open and support units and things. They'll donate various resources to that. In relation to Arsenal in the community, BTEC tutors are going to continue delivering their classes remotely. And if you're a uni student, college student, school student, you're scared. I'm seeing they want to scrap GCSEs and you're going to get your predicted, which could be a gift and a curse, because some people, especially my demographic, on a regular basis overperform the predicted grades. From some other people, it's going to be a madness. So if you get your predicted, you might not. If I got some of my predicted grades, I wouldn't be in a position I am to a degree in my professional life. But it's a difficult one. I think it's a dangerous game with them predicted game things, because people don't like to speak about, and pupils, like I was a bad breed kid in school. I used to pee off teachers. I could understand why teachers wouldn't have time for me, but rightly or wrongly, that could mean you do certain snooty things, which I think some teachers did. And I'm really scared for uni students, college students, school students, all of these sort of things, people. Because there's nothing they can do, but it's nice to see at least their things will be going on. Arsenal have also said globally we'll continue to support and stand with our communities in the way we can. In the Zatari, forgive me for any mispronunciations, the Zatari refugee camp in Jordan, and we've got something in Indonesia as well. So it's lovely to see we're still doing that. We've suspended coaching for life in both of them locations. Arsenal will work remotely with local coaches to continue developing the resilience training models, it said. So it's still going on, people. Our partners, Save the Children, are developing ways to assist parents and children in the UK remotely with resources and stuff, and we're still going to be doing what we can in that. Vinay offered a statement. He said, Arsenal Football Club exists to make our fans proud and create a sense of community for the people in Islington, across the UK and around the world. During these uncertain and unprecedented times, we will endeavour to ensure that remains the case. Big up them, people. On a more brighter note, or not brighter, but sticking to football now, I'm all sure you've seen Get France Football have released how much wages managers get. And Unnamed is just picked to 20th by Bruno Guinesto, I can't say his name, the former Lyon manager, now in China. Arsenal, in regards to severance packages this season, due to his pay and whatnot, because he was sacked, Arsenal will pay Unnamed a total of €7.4 million this season in wages, which puts him at 21st, I believe. In order, you've got Diego Simeone on 40.5 million, you've got Conte on 30, you've got Pep on 27, fourth is Klopp with 24, Jose of Spurs earning a nice little pay packet, 23. You've got Zidane on 23, you've got Valverde, formerly of Barca, on 19, Cannavaro's on 14 million. Rah, Cannavaro, you're coaching and that still in China and that. He's left Juventus, but Allegri's still getting paid by them, 13.5 million. Rafa's getting 13 million. Carlo from Everton is getting 12. Pellegrini's getting 10.5 from Juventus. Sarri's getting 10.3. Jardim, who's still a free agent, is getting 10.2. Victor Pereira of Shanghai is getting 10. Pochettino, formerly of Spurs, is getting 9.4. Rodgers is on 9.1. He earns more than Tuchel. Tuchel's on 8.5 mil. Ollie's on 8.3. And Bruno's on 8 million. So yeah, Emre's just behind them more or less. So it's a weird one, really and truly, to be honest. But you know, I wish I was getting MPs there, people. I'm not even going to lie to you. I wanted to speak about Hector Bellerin, because I've spoken about Bellerin a lot, but I like these heartfelt messages. Now, you know, I like Bellerin because one thing I like about Bellerin is he's not afraid to live his life how he wants. Of course, people say this and that and as being a footballer, but I like how he wants to live his life on his own terms. He loves football. Dedicate your life to football like he's been doing. People can sit here and say this. He's allowed to have other things, and You get the vibe he's going to be someone that's not going to struggle when he finishes his footballing career. I like that he likes photography, he likes fashion. I might think he looks funny in these clothes, but I like that he's not afraid to be himself, wear the clothes he wants, live how he wants to live within the context of and realms of society, because we all have to conform to certain things. Obviously we can't walk around naked and all of these things and carry ourselves, but as long as you're not doing stuff and harming people, you should be able to live your life how you want. People get at Bellerin's hair, people get at Bellerin's diet. His diet's irrelevant. There might be some legit truth in, he's gone vegan, he's not as powerful, but equally I'm sure there's other vegan athletes and stuff that hasn't affected them. And if Bellerin, didn't have this injury or was playing in good form, people wouldn't say that. You look at the game against Chelsea, or he had another decent game, nobody said that. When he looks shaky, people saying, he's injured, he's this and that. I think he needs to come back to his best. I do think he's stagnating, but I do think some things are irrelevant. Either way, in his young life, he's been through hell. He's shown a lot of courage to move to a new land, but he's been through hell, man. It's nice to see he's come back through the other side, really. He said, I'm not going to list them all, but just go on Arsenal.com. Is Hector Bellerin in his own words, but the things that captured me, he said, to be out for 337 days is a long time. It sounds much worse when you say it like that, but it's been a process that I feel has been more positive than negative. When people hear about you rupturing your ACL and going through this 9-month injury, they just say, wow, this is bad. His head must be flying. He must be in a bad state of mind. Let's help him. Of course, the first few months were tough and there were hard moments to process. Watching the boys play was a real challenge for me. And there were days when my knee wasn't feeling how I expected to feel. Like every single process, there are always ups and downs, but it's something that has helped me love football even more. Obviously, being away from it, you see what you're on. And one thing I liked is that, like I said in my deluded thoughts, in life, I don't think we stop and really live in the moment and really, if I won the Premier League, if I was, if I'm Klopp and I'm about to win the Premier League, obviously he's going to be happy, he's going to jump up and down, but how much will someone like Klopp enjoy it? Do you get it? Because the minute they lift that title, Klopp's got to be thinking, City are doing this, I need to buy this player's stagnating, I need to do that, how do I evolve? Probably thinking of it before it's happened. So at what point do you stop and think, yo, I've just won the Premier League for Liverpool in the first time in 30 years, let's enjoy this. Do you get what I'm saying, people? We really only look back with achievements. And Andros Townsend actually said this when I got to speak to him at the Kick It Out event. He actually said if he could go back in his career, he would have savoured the moments a bit, like his England cap, his first debut, his first pro goal, and all these other milestones. And I think that this not just goes for football, that goes for real life as well, people. Don't get complacent, but that's something I've had to learn, to sit back and think, yo, I've achieved something, or I've done this, let's go again, but let's pat ourselves on the back and comprehend actually what we've done, people. He said, when it comes to the summer break, the last thing you want to think about is football, because you've been thinking about it for more than 11 months. It was the first time I actually had a chance to look back at my achievements. Whether that was as a footballer or as a 24-year-old, I could actually sit down and think, wow, I did that. Before, it was just part of my job and I never really appreciated it. Then I realised that I had played almost 200 games for Arsenal, won 4 trophies, so many achievements. I could really never enjoy those, and it made me realise how far I've come since my first game against West Brom in the League Cup and how much I'd grown in that time. I didn't even have time to realise that. And that's true, because Bellerin, well, maybe not right, well, he still is, but he's, he was more or less first name on the team sheet and stuff. And, in his few years here, he's from 16 years of age, he's gone to London. I believe he lives in a seaside town in Spain. So it must be 2 different dynamics. He's adapted, he's evolved as a person. He's probably dropped out passions he thought he liked, and he's getting passions. He's understanding himself as a man. He's very big on climate change and animal stuff and all this other sort of helping people and raising issues. And on top of his fashion stuff, you're allowed to have passions away from being a footballer. And it's all, you lot watch my team, so you're not stupid. I always get annoyed, not just with Bellerin, but with other players, when people say, you say footballers got all this free time in the world, but then you can't comprehend that footballers can have more than one passion. Do you know how many footballers probably, and I won't name some, but I've spoken to some, they actually don't like football like that. And they love it in the sense of, they train hard, they improve hard, but it's not, they ain't got a drug like that for it. They love it, but there's other passions, there's other things that get their heart going. Look at Benoit Suakoto, sort of thing. As long as you're applying yourself and you're committing yourself in the best way you could, then it's the best thing. He spoke about his hobbies. He spoke about spending time in his homeland again and being able to do that again. I won't bring that in there again. And he's also said He said he also started to think of one interesting thing. He said he started to think about his retirement, people, really and truly. And he spoke about hobbies as well. But I won't go into it. I don't want to spoil it. Please go and read it. It's quite a heartfelt piece. He said, it definitely makes you think about retirement, because for those 9 months, you're kind of a bit like that anyways. It's something that if it hadn't happened to me, or if I went through my whole career without getting an injury like that, I probably wouldn't see things as clearly, because I've tried things that I know I don't want to do in the future. I'm very grateful for that. I'm also very grateful for the lads I had around me during the rehab. Holding was like my first support. He had got injured a couple of months before me, so everything he was going through, I could see that it would be me doing that in 2 months. He was the person that messaged me first, that offered me his advice from the beginning. And one thing that really captured me is how, you know, it's all fun and games keeping yourself going and having a support network with your family and friends, but it's nice to see the teammates going, Holding pushing on Bellerin pushing on Holding, Tierney G'ing up everyone. He even mentioned Mavropanos. Of course, we don't want Of course, we don't want no one on the injury thing, but you know, when you've got that brotherly love, that grinding together, especially if you look at it and say Bellerin, Tierney and Holding, who, you know, maybe so much Holding and Bellerin, but you know, these are players you'd think could make up Arsenal's back four, part of the back four in some capacity in the medium and long term, really, people. So if they're fighting for each other beyond football and geeing each other on as humans, they're going to ride for each other even more, kicking a football around people. Do you get it, people? It's like, picture yourselves, I can't speak for you lot, but a lot of my friends, I used to kick ball with my friends, go to school with my friends, get in fights with my friends, almost lost my life with my friends. And I could put my life in their hands, they could put my life in I could put my life in theirs, they could do the same for me. We protect each other, sort of thing. And I saw that on a football field, because I would do the same. Listen, the first time my guy gets in problems, I'm backing it. Someone clamps him, I'm clamping them. Do you get it? You don't want to let man down, and that's what we need. That's one thing I like about our team, regardless of what people say. They are a close-knit bunch of players, people. Not just them, but the Aubameyangs, the Mustafis, the Luizes, the Lacazettes, regardless what regardless what you think about these players, we need togetherness, and it's there, people. He also said, it wasn't like, oh, sorry, people, I'm missing out part, but he said he had a great rehab process because he was hitting all the targets whenever he needed to. He was going further than he needed to at the time. So for me, that was a great inspiration to see how we are going in rehab with the same people, and it made me feel better seeing him do well. It gave me a goal and an objective that I could basically reach. It wasn't like in 6 or 9 months you're going to be here. I could see properly what the steps were for me, and that was very helpful. And obviously it was a good moment when they both, you know, got to play on the same pitch together for the first time. He also said, then we also had Kieran and Dinos. They were my companions when we started our pitch work. My relationship with Kieran was good from the start. I felt he kind of knew that a lot of people were expecting us to be a fullback unit, so we'd always joke about that, which gave us a common ground from the start that we could share without even knowing each other. And it's good to see that through this, sadly, Tierney's allowed to integrate with some of his teammates. And to be fair, from day dot, Tierney looked like he was part of the group, because he was already getting in banter. Emil Smith-Rowe already dissing him about his dress sense and them things there. He said Tierney was good from the start, and he was also someone who pushed himself hard from the get-go. From the first few training sessions with the rehab group, he made me push myself even further because he was hitting more speed than me. I was thinking, no, this can't happen. I need to run quicker than him. Then he would run quicker. If he wasn't there, my rehab would have been different, because that offered me motivation and improvement. Every day I would think, I can't wait to get out there because I'm going to run quicker than him. I'm not going to lie, there were months where we felt so tired and our muscles were aching because we were coming back from not running for 6 months into very hard work. There were mornings we couldn't put 2 passes together. There are mornings where we were amazing, and there are things I look back on and now think, yo, that was a good time. At the time, we were thinking, this is really hard. Why are we doing this? We're doing mannequins every day, and it's kind of boring just running and going to the gym on this massive program that you've got to complete for 6 or 7 hours a day. But now you appreciate the fact that those around you have helped you get to where you are. Rob and I still do yoga together at the club, and we're always part of the group that get together outside football as well. He's someone that I think is loved by everyone at the club. He's a great personality, and he's someone who loves to work. And he was the first person to show me that I would be on the pitch back again soon. they obviously spoke about returning. Apparently when Bellerin came back against Chelsea, Holding had a bit of a cry. Apparently Holding's a bit of an emotional guy and a great player, man, and he went to kind of follow on the same language, so I'm not going to bore you with that, but for me it's nice to see, because obviously I believe for me anyways in life, I believe I'm the only person that can get me out of situations. People can help me, people can guide me, but at the end of the day, people can give me water in my hand. It's down to me to go to do that. I can't force it down someone. If I can, you're going to choke them, or it's going to be harder. So obviously, you know you need to get back in. You know you need to do the rehab. You know what's going to happen. But it's easier said than done. There's only so many times you can be motivated. And I've seen that. I've not been motivated with my YouTube stuff at times. I've seen other people doing good stuff. Or I've spoken to other people I know doing good things. And, you know, you might get a bit of motivation to go harder again in that. Because that's the sort of thing you can do. You can have Bellerin could have been a hater. He could have been like, look at Holding. He's doing this and that. He's not even going to make it. But instead, he got gassed off it. And that's what we should do in life. You shouldn't hate on people. You should get gassed. Like, when you see your friends doing well, you should get gassed off it. Like, that's how I do. If I see my friends doing good things, I get gassed. I'm like, alright, cool, I need to, you know, buck up my ideas, button my top and fix up my thing and you know, fix up my stuff and go harder. So it's nice to see they pushed each other. Obviously, people, it's lovely to hear this sort of stuff. I don't want to say they're all over their injury issues, because injuries are a bitch in football, but forgive me for my language.